So my client arm is 12 inches. So I went and cut boning that is approximately around 12 inches here. It's kind of stopping around that 12-inch mark. Well, this is how big her full arm is. It's going to be 12 inches. So you do want to get the full circumference of your client's arm measurement whenever you are making sleeves, so that we can see how big the sleeve has to be, or how small the sleeve has to be, rather, much how her arm would be if she was in front of us right now. And typically I make my sleeves with horsehair. So I just cut out a piece of horsehair, but we do want it to be a little bit bigger on both sides, so that we have enough room to actually sew it to the dress. We also want it to be a little bit bigger because we don't want it too tight on her arm. This is a pretty good size. I'm gonna put one on one side and then one on the other side as well for both of her sleeves. Now, if you only have one sleeve, then you only need to do, of course, one of these, but she wants sleeves on both sides. Okay, and so now we are going to create the actual structure of the sleeve. I'm going to show you guys how I typically do it. I mean, there might be other ways, but this is just kind of what I do. Remember, we did have a test piece of boning already made. It's perfectly okay for your boning to not cover the entire arm, because again, we needed extra space for seam allowance. The seam allowance is very important, so we do want at least an inch on both sides, something like that, so that we'll have room to actually sew on the dress itself. Okay, so good. I do want to cut 3 pieces of this because we're going to use 3 pieces. One is going to be on the very top of the sleeve, and then in the middle, and then at the end. Okay, hopefully we can finish this project with just this amount. Honestly, I hope so. I feel like we can. So I'm just going to be cutting out my 3 with my handy dandy scissors, and then, well, really I have to cut out 6 because we have 2 sleeves that we're doing. So I'm going to cut out 6 of these. We're going to make the boning casing. We did just take off the white boning casing, and we're going to make green because it's going to match way better with the dress. Even though we're going to cover it with some jewels, we do want to make sure that the actual boning casing has some type of green color or tint to it. One thing you can do is, if you guys do have like fabric dye, you can always dye the boning casing instead of making your own, but I don't have that right now. So our actual boning pieces are around 12 inches. So we want the boning casing to be a little bit bigger or longer. So I'm going to do roughly around 15 inches as far as length, and then as far as height, we're going to do it around 2 inches. So this is going to be 15 by 2. So we're going to cut where it says 15 here. Okay, and we're going to cut straight down to where it is 2 inches. We're going to do this basically 6 times because we have 6 different bonings to cover. So now that we have that, and I already have a few pieces that I've already made, what we're going to do is we're going to fold it a little bit inwards here. Fold one side to where it's kind of halfway, and then we're going to pin it. We're going to do the same with the other side. Just fold it and then pin it. So now that we have both ends folded, we're just going to now fold it one more time in the middle. So we want it to be like one long string. Basically make at least 6 of these so that we can then put our boning inside of this, and it will be covered with the green fabric. So I'm just going to continue making mine. We're going to sew with a straight stitch all the way where the 2 ends meet. We want to sew this as one so that we can finish the boning casing. Want to get as closely as possible to the outer edge so that we'll have enough room to stick the plastic boning inside. Okay, so this is what we have, and it doesn't have to be perfect, of course, because this is going to still be covered. Our plastic boning piece here, we'll take this and then we will just put it inside of the casing so that it is covered. And we want to do that for all 6 of them. So I've got pretty hungry, so I am gonna eat my little fruit bowl and then I'm gonna get back to it because I am starved. So now we want to put all 3 boning into its casing, and then we also want to fill the horsehair with all 3 pieces of boning. And we're just going to pin everything down. Just wanted to get everything down, at least, you know, stable on this side here first. So I sewed that down, and then I'm going to go through and sew down the sides. I want to be careful too, because we don't want to sew down the boning. Since it is plastic, you can definitely sew it down, but we don't quite want to do that per se. You know, if it happens, it happens, but that's not really what we're aiming for. We don't want to break our needle. If you're looking at the sleeves, I originally did the 3 panels here, but when we're looking at this design here, she really wants the sleeves to blend in with this type of design. So the sleeves are going to be pretty much covered in the beading, just like the top portion is. And I just feel like this being more slimmer to where it's 2 panels instead of the 3 just overall looks better and kind of is going with the feel more. The 3 panels when you want kind of like a thicker or longer kind of sleeve. We have our 2 sleeves here. Basically I just folded them, and then I took around 2 inches of fabric and just kind of folded it here so that we're covering the edges, because the horsehair does get pretty stiff at the ends when you cut it, so you do want to cover that. And now we're just going to take the main fabric here, and we're just going to measure how long we need to cut it, because we are going to use the main fabric to wrap around the sleeves. Right now we're just going to cut off the remaining fabric. A sleeve that will be going on the dress. Now we're going to do the same side for the other one, and we're going to turn this inside out. Okay. Is we're going to have this on fold, and we're going to sew this piece here, the end, and then we're going to sew straight down. We're going to leave an opening because we are going to slide the actual sleeve or the horsehair inside of it. And now we're going to take this piece that we just sewn together, and we're going to turn it inside out, or right side out. And now we're going to stick the horsehair inside. Something like this here. And this is basically our sleeve, and we're going to close this side by folding the insides together, the insides completely together, and then once we fold it together, we're just going to sew with a straight stitch straight across. Okay, so right now the sleeve does drip down a little bit, but that's okay because that's kind of how the customer wanted it. And we do have the test sleeve right here. This is how big the actual client's arm is, or this is the circumference of her arm. So when I put the actual sleeve that we're going to use on here, you can see that she's still going to have a really good amount of space in between here, so she can move her arms, you know, put her arms up, down, whatever the case is, because there's still space here. So that's really what we want to make sure that we do, is leave just a little bit of space for the client, maybe like an inch or two, for the client to be actually able to move their arms. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hand sew the 2 ends of the sleeve to the dress. and have that sticking on to each other. And then I'm going to put the beading on here. Okay. And this is the final look. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you learned something new, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time.